I've got my lines. If I want to create a straight line, a horizontally straight line, I can hold down the Shift key on both your Windows and PC. And then I can make a horizontally straight line, or I can make a vertical line. And you can kind of see the benefits of that. And if I wanted to make this, perfectly straight, then I can just select that. I'm just using my arrow key to adjust my points. So I can either manually drag them, right? Or I can use my arrow key. I can use my arrow key up, my arrow key down, my arrow key to the right, right? So there's fine-tuning ways that you can work with adjusting your points. If I want to add points to my path, then I can do that just by clicking on the path. So there's a new point. And then I would use my white arrow tool to go, and then I can create that. If I want to get rid of some of the points, like maybe I want to get rid of these 3 points at the top here, I click on my minus pen tool, and then I click on each point and they disappear. So now I have a nice little arrow that I can even make a little more pronounced, right? And let me see here. Yeah, is this got a little inconsistent? Yeah, see, this path right now isn't closed. So if I wanted to close it, then I would, yeah, it's not closed. So what I would do is I would grab my pen tool, I would click, and now I can close it. There, it's closed, okay? And then if I wanted to get rid of that, I could get rid of that. Okay, so when it's closed, then you have a shape that you can fill, and it's very even, and then the quality of the line you'll see is perfect as well. If I want to convert a straight line to a curved line, I can do that with this tool, the anchor point tool. So here, I just click on the point, and you have to pull out, and sometimes you have to kind of move the handlebars. Okay, so it can be a little weird at first. But once you start working with it, you can create these curved lines. And that basically is just a way to change the nature of your shape. And these handlebars affect the curve and kind of how smooth that line is. So it takes a little bit to get good at working with your pen tools to create really nice fluid lines. But it's pretty easy, you just have to practice a little bit. So there's a nice kind of tear shape, right? If I want to convert this back to something that looks more linear, then all I have to do is grab my anchor point and I just click, and all of a sudden it looks kind of like it did originally, right? So you can change your lines from curved lines to straight lines. Okay, let me see here. A couple of other things. Oh, if I wanted to work with the brush tool, let's do that. So whenever I have an object, and a lot of times in Illustrator you can duplicate things, and you can, you get something you like, you want a second one, you can just duplicate it. So you can either do your menu commands, like edit, copy, edit, paste, and that gives me, my second shape. Or the shortcut is to use your Option key on a Mac, the Alt key on a PC, and just click on those keys, Option or Alt, and you can duplicate something very easily. If I wanted to look at putting a brush stroke on this, which is kind of a fun thing to do with my paintbrush tool, then I would go get my brushes, and I would put that over here. And there'll be a few default brushes here, and you can see how that affects the line weight right now. And then some of these other features are brushes that have a little texture to them. Okay. You can also access your brush library by going down to Open Brush Library, and there's some standard brush collections that come with your system. And if I go to Artistic, maybe I'll do Artistic Paintbrush, and there they are. I can kind of scroll down through those, and you can see the different kinds of brush strokes that that come with that. And essentially I'm applying that to my stroke, all right? And then if I wanted to do a fill, then I could do that as well. But depending on what kind of brush stroke you have, it might not be as even of a fill as say for this example, which has no brush on it, okay? But that's part of the power of brushes, okay? The other thing, before I let you go from this first video, is there is a move and zoom tool. So sometimes when you're working in Illustrator, you might need to kind of move your artboard around. So all you have to do is hold down your spacebar key, or you can go get your hand tool and move that around, all right? And the other thing is the zoom tool. So the zoom tool will put me in, so I can zoom in, hold down the spacebar, rearrange my artwork. If I want to zoom out, then I just hold down the Option or Alt key, and I can zoom out. Another shortcut that I really like working with is with your Command or your Control key. You can do Command or Control plus, and that's your plus sign on your keyboard, or Command or Control minus, and that's your minus, to zoom in and out. Okay. The last thing is the color and fill stroke. So every time I click on an object, it updates down here what my colors are. So if I do my Option click or my Alt click and duplicate, then I can use my swatches over here, and I can fill it with different colors. And all I have to do is click on that which I want to update. In that case, it's my stroke, and I'm going to put a brown stroke on there. And I can get rid of my stroke just by simply having it active on my palette and then hitting the none, and that will take it away. And if I want to have a stroke but I want it the same color, I can just drag, and then I get that updated. Okay. The default setting is down here. That's black and white. All right. And I think that's about all I'm going to cover with regards to the introductory tools. Oh, last thing is your layers palette. Let me move that over here. Every time I put something on my artboard, it gets added to sub-layer. And you can see these are, sometimes these can be grouped together. Those are my little icons that I have for my demonstration. Here are my tools. I put on another swirl. You can see it always adds the different pieces of art that I have. Okay, so there we go. So you should be able to see those populate. And again, you can click on your artwork on your board to select it, or you can also go to your layers palette and select the right side on your sub-layer. For example, if I want to select my polygon, I can just select it that way, and you can see it highlights on my artboard. Okay. When you're done, and as you're working, you should save. So the thing to do is do your save as. And initially, you're going to get the AI version of the file, like Adobe Illustrator. It's the native format for Illustrator, and your first save should always be that. So I'm going to just save this as getting started too. I have a folder already set up. And make sure you work in an organized way, you know. Each week or for each lab, you can create a new folder and house all of your work in there. It's a good way to be organized. And it's good practice in your workflow whenever you're working in graphics applications, right? So I would do save that way. So that's my first save. And if I wanted to save some artwork, here we go. And I have to hit OK. And these are, don't worry about these. These are all kind of default settings, and they're all good. So when you hit your, when you save your Illustrator file, you can just hit OK, and that's good. If I want to save a PNG or a JPEG, I go down to Export, and you can do Export As. And there I get variations of different file formats. So you can save a PNG, you can save a JPEG, right? I've got PNG set up there. So I would just save the same file in the same name. I just get a different extension, and then I would export, and that's going to go to that folder as well. You can choose here the resolution, and 72 DPI or PPI is the lowest quality screen resolution. So it's a good practice, I think, to either use medium or high so you get good quality artwork. So I would choose that. Because now we're going from a vector file, which Illustrator is, to a web format. And web formatted graphics apply compression, and they take away information because on the internet, when you publish for the web, you really need to have optimized, like efficient, not too high resolution, not too even good a quality. Even though it looks good, it's not as good as if it was like a really high resolution print graphic. So just kind of do the medium quality, I think should be fine, and then you hit OK. And you can either do, if you're not wanting to use this for the web, you can just hit transparent or white. Both of those are fine. And hit OK. And that's about it. All right.